Hey everyone, this is Mace1370. I've been playing Epic 7 for almost a year now, and this is my first YouTube video. I love the different PvP modes in this game, especially Real-Time Arena. To give you a little background on my game experience, I played a lot during the first season of RTA. I tried to push to Legend but didn't quite make it. I ended in the top 50 to 100 champion players when the season ended. My goal with these videos is to share what I have learned about PvP and also grow as a player. I plan on releasing a variety of content such as RTA match reviews, specific guide videos, team composition overviews, hero and account reviews, and much more. For my first video I want to keep it simple and just review a few of my most recent RTA matches. Hopefully we can learn and grow together. Enjoy. I start off this match by banning ML Tywin. He's a really strong ML5 and I don't have him. The opponent bans Ruel. I get first pick. I decided to go with Valencia here. She's a good hero to take early because she fits on a lot of bruiser comps and keeps you open, so you're not committed to one particular team composition. The opponent takes Arbiter Vildred first, and then follows it up with Basar, two well-loved heroes by everyone. Because the opponent took Arbiter Vildred early, it gives me the opportunity to counter with an ML Haste pick. And then at that point, I need to decide if I want to take a Knight to provide damage mitigation in case they go Cleave. And the options that I'm debating between are either Crow, who I have on Aureus, or Fallen Cecilia, who I have on Adamant Shield. I think they would both be reasonable picks in this situation. I was afraid at the time of them fully committing to Cleave, and so I decided to go with Fallen Cecilia, thinking that I'll probably just have to ban the Basar in that situation. But at least the Fallen Cecilia would provide me with stronger mitigation, because of her shields. The opponent takes Seaside Bellona and Elena. The Elena pick surprised me. It seems like they're going for a very offensive strategy where they, give themselves immunity and just try to overwhelm me with damage in a couple turns. So I was a little unsure who to take. I thought, well, they have Seaside Bellona, so I think Rowana would be a decent pick. The advantage of that is if I leave both Arbiter Vildred and Seaside Bellona in the draft, that would mean that I'm going to strongly counter one of their units with either Rowana or ML Haste, depending on who they ban. So I decided to go with Rowana here. For my final pick, I need to take a DPS hero, because the only DPS on my team right now is Valencia. I debate about taking Martial Artist Ken to provide an additional counter for the Arbiter Vildred, but I decided that would probably be a bad idea given that they have Elena, and if Elena's fast and puts up invincibility, all the ML Ken counters won't do anything. So I decided to take ML Violet here because he has evasion and can potentially prevent myself from getting cleaved by Seaside Bellona or Arby. And then I banned the Basar because I want my team to be able to have the Fallen Cecilia shields, and also if ML Haste gets through, which he does here, I want his passive to be able to trigger once Arbiter Vildred dies. The opponent bans Rowana. I was kind of expecting an ML Haste ban, but I think they put themselves in a difficult situation, giving me both of those heroes. So the Elena opens up with invincibility, outspeeding my team.
Shall we go to the land steeped in death?
I debate about putting up Skill Null here with the CCS3, and I decided instead to provoke the Arbiter Vildred. Not sure if that was the right choice. I noticed that Arby was fairly far back on the team, and so I felt like the Skill Null might be better saved for later, and by provoking him I could mitigate some of his damage anyways. Again, I'm not sure if that was the right choice. Here I think this is an easy S3 with my Valencia to remove all of the invincibility on the opponent's team.
I won't go easy on you.
I feel like my Violet is notoriously defective. I had my fingers crossed here that he would dodge the Seaside Bellona on her S3, and of course that doesn't happen, and he gets both the buff block and the heal block. And this puts me in a very tough spot because two of my heroes have unbuffable,
Deal with this.
So if I kill the Arbiter Vildred, he will
Let's start with something light.
not proc the haste passive on the Violet and the FCC. I go into the RB anyways, and I think that was a big mistake on my part. I should have hit Seaside Bologna. And I kind of realized that as I was making the decision. Because had I managed to finish the Arbiter Vildred there with the dual attack from Valencia, that would have really hurt, you know, the amount of damage when he rezzed. So at this point, I decided that I just need to kind of wait out these debuffs and then kill the RB afterwards, so I go into Seaside Bologna here.
Your life.
And I want to do as much damage as possible with my team because Animal Violet has buff block and he will not get evasion now, so he's probably dead.
I'm growing tired.
If the opponent decides to go on FCC anyways and get rid of her.
Is that all you're capable of?
So here I use my S3 from ML
Better
Haste
off dead.
onto the Seaside Bologna, hoping for a kill. I don't quite get there. But my Alencia has Mind's Eye, and so I'm reasonably confident that she'll be able to pick out the Seaside Bologna. It's actually quite tanky, but she finally does manage to go down. So now RB gets a turn again, and of course he crits my ML Violet through ML Dreamblade. Only 20% chance, but I was pretty salty at this point, given all of the other debuffs that Violet had. Crow's in a pretty good spot to S3 here, and so my Violet's dead. I feel like my Violet is already dead though, so he might have been better served by going on Alencia there, and then just finishing the Violet off with RB. So I think that might have been a mistake for my
Don't put all
opponent.
your faith in me.
Now that buff block is gone, I can burn the S3 on the FCC to get up skill prevent, and ML Haste skill 1 didn't really feel like it was worth burning, and I didn't feel like I would need the damage from Alencia, so at this point I just need to finish off the RB. He'll res, and I get all of my shields and immunity, so I'm feeling very safe here. In my mind, the considerations that I have to play around are, one, I need to kill Arbiter Vildred before his cooldown resets on his res, which shouldn't be a problem because my Alencia is still alive. She does have hit down though, so hypothetically if she misses a lot, then the Elena might be able to sustain the RB long enough. And then the other consideration is, Crow's S3. Those are the offensive threats my opponent still has. So the RB goes down, don't have to worry about him anymore. And now I'm just checking skill cooldowns. Crow still has 2 turns left on his horse, and I'm fairly confident I can get him down before he's able to get the horse off, so I start going into Crow. And I'm holding the S3 on my Alencia here in case she has to strip the invincibility again. But this match is pretty much over.
Do I look like a pushover to you?
Paranoid, still checking Crow's skill 3. He has one more turn before he can get it off. And Frenzy's stacking up here, so you see that the Crow's taking quite a bit of damage.
Stardust.
Elena gets her skill 3 off again, which is fine because we have our Alencia to strip it off. And actually it won't even matter because Crow's taking a turn next.
Not enough.
I've always wanted to build ML Haste with more effectiveness. I just can't get the gear to keep his hit points high enough for his skill 3 to be a big threat. It would be pretty sweet if he's able to strip, buffs off Crow and Soul Weavers. Big damage from Alencia and Crow goes down.
Tired of this act.
And that's pretty much game for
Don't
this
put all
one.
your faith in me.
You are beneath me.
Okay, another match. I ban Immeltimon again. I do not want to deal with his stuns. He is super busted. Opponent bans RB and gets first pick. Takes Remnant Violet. Whenever I see an Arbiter Vildred ban, I always wonder if they're going to try to either cleave me or if they're going to draft a control comp, because RB can be a decent option to answer those. But with the Remnant Violet first pick, I'm not really sure what they're doing. I assume Bruisers, so I take Fallen Cecilia here. I think she's, just obviously a very good tank overall, but she's also very nice into Remnant Violet because she can use her skill 3 to trigger his Massacre, and then he'll go into someone with skill prevent if you time it right. You don't always have the luxury of doing that. Given the state of the game, you may have to use your S3 early, but it's a very nice option to have and a good answer for him when you can do it.
If you're ready, let's go.
And then Alencia is obviously just a nice generic bruiser pick. The opponent takes Crow and Ruel, which I think is a very smart pick because obviously they're both very strong heroes, and Crow is an answer to Ruel. His skill 3 is a good way to kill her, so it denies me that option, and it's a strong hero on his side. I take Dain to give myself an attack buff. And I debate here about taking Falcon or Clury to, crack the Ruel or dispel the Remnant Violet, but my Alencia is fairly slow and it can be very awkward to set up the timing between those two, so that you can actually hit the Violet when his evasion's down. So I haven't been the biggest fan of using Falcon or Clury, at least with the way that my units are built. I take Spectre Tenebria because the opponent has no AoE, and they've banned Arbiter Vildred, so it takes away an AoE option from them. And if left unchecked, especially with attack buff from Dain, she can just wreak havoc. They take Seaside Bellona and Dizzy, two strong picks, and they're both of those heroes you really have to have an answer for on your team or they'll just wreck you. So I take Rwana to answer the Seaside Bellona and then I ban the Dizzy. The opponent bans the Spectre Tenebria. And I'm feeling pretty decent about this because, I'm countering a lot of their damage with Rwana. I think the weakness of my comp, though, is that I just don't have much damage myself. So this is going to be a long, drawn-out match, and the opponent has a Crow.
I'm charging.
And so in my mind, I'm thinking I have to play around his S3 in order to win.
Let's advance together.
So the opponent's team is pretty quick. Decides to hold his Rylet skill 3. I go ahead and get my buffs up.
Are you prepared for this?
I hold the S3 on Fallen CC because the opponent doesn't have much incoming damage right now. Rwana will counter a lot of the Seaside Bellona damage, and I can try to hold it to, counter the Rylet's Massacre. Go ahead and strip off the defense buff.
It's too late to back out now.
I get really lucky and I strip the Rylet here, so I realize I can probably just go into him and kill him. That was a very lucky break for me.
For ruining my vacation.
The opponent also gives Mind Eye to Alencia here. So since the evasion's down, I just decided to start hitting the Violet. And now that my Rwana finally gets a turn, I'm debating about using my skill 3 or not, and the Crow is still pretty healthy, and I make the decision to hold the skill 3 because I want to hold it so that I can get maximum amount of benefit and prevent him from using his skill 3 to kill one of my units, since the revive buff only lasts 2 turns. And I think this was actually a huge mistake on my part, because the Crow already starts to take a lot of damage here, and it happens faster than I was anticipating. I thought when I made the decision not to skill 3 that I would have time to go another cycle, and he would not have a good horse opportunity, but that's obviously not the case. You can see Crow's already down at least a third of his health, getting close to a half of his health. And I'm very worried because now he's taken my Dain down quite a bit to about 40-50%, and his Crow can easily one-shot her at this point. And there's really not much I can do about it. I could have maybe just tried to go into the Crow and just kill him, That might have been a a way to get out of that. But he had enough health that I wasn't
See how long you can endure.
likely to kill him, I think. So my Diane is dead, and at this point it's pretty much GG. I feel like my only out at this point is hitting into the Ruel repeatedly because she has Idol's Cheer, forcing Seaside Bologna to take more turns and get more focus, which then in turn pushes my team with Rowanna's skill 2, and might give me enough DPS to kill the Ruel. If the Ruel dies, then I could theoretically get out a win, because Seaside Bologna would keep my team healthy with Rowanna, and CR pushed, etc. So I decided to hit into the Ruel a few times, but I just don't have the damage to do it, I think. So I won't spare you guys the pain of watching these bruiser teams bash heads for another 10 minutes. Thanks for watching, everyone. I have some exciting videos coming up, so please make sure to like and subscribe. Later!